Hello, welcome back to the Ball Games 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. I generally like to talk a load of bollocks about a tabletop game in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a pirate-themed game that was released in 2010. We're going to be talking about Merchants and Marauders, and this is a game where you'll be sailing around the Caribbean trying to do a bit of pick up and deliver and maybe beat up a few merchants, become a pirate, and be the first player to reach 10 glory points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, telling you what we do like, don't like, then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Merchants and Marauders is still worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel, leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you after this. Board Games 4K. So, Merchants and Marauders. How do you play this game? So, Merchants and Marauders is basically a sort of pirate-themed game where you'll be going around the Caribbean trying to amass 10 victory points to win the game, right? At the beginning of the game, each player is going to randomly select a captain, and you're going to have a certain amount of attributes that will affect things that you do throughout the rest of the game, right? You're also going to select one of two ships. You're either going to have a sloop, which is a more agile, dexterous ship on the water, or you're going to select a flute, which is going to allow you to carry more cargo, but you ain't going to be able to move as quickly in the water, right? So what you do, you look at your player board and you will place your little cubes corresponding to the attributes of your ship. You place your captain in the relevant spot. Everyone's going to get 10 gold. You're going to shuffle the event cards, the rumour cards, and the mission cards. You're going to place the merchant tokens on the sea spaces apart from the Caribbean Sea. You're going to shuffle up the ship modification tokens. You are going to shuffle up demand tokens. You're going to draw 2 mission cards and place them in the spots where the mission card tells you to do it. And then you're going to randomly determine the first player, and off you go. So the first thing you're going to do, not in the first round, but in every subsequent round, you are going to draw an event card and do what it says on the event card. Okay, so the next phase in the game is you're going to take player actions. There's 3 different actions that you can take in this game. You've got the move action, you've got the scout action, and then you've got the port action. Right, on your turn, you're going to get to perform 3 actions. If you take the move action, basically one of your actions is going to be able to move to an adjacent space. You're going to be able to move into a port, and you're going to be able to move out of a port. So if you want to take the scouting action, what you're going to do, you're going to announce which type of player you're going to scout for. You can scout for player captains, which is another player. You can scout for non-player captains, which is the Navy and pirates and that sort of stuff. And then you can scout for a merchant, which refers to the merchant tokens. What you're going to do, you're going to do what's called a skill check. And this is the sort of meat and potatoes of this game. What you're going to do, you're going to look at your scouting score on your captain, and you're going to roll that many dice, and you're going to be looking for successes. So you're going to roll 6-sided dice, and on the dice you've got numbers 1 and 4, and then you've got 5 and 6, which are represented by skull and crossbones, and these are successes. And you'll look for successes. If you're successful, then you successfully scout that type of player, and then something will happen. So if you scouted for a player character or the Navy or a pirate, then you'll have a battle. But if you scout for a merchant, you'll be able to raid the merchant, right? What you do, you flip over the merchant token and it will reveal a flag of a country, and you've got 2 options here. You can either choose to raid the country that's on the merchant token, or you can raid the country flag that is on the port of the region that you're in. So when you raid a merchant, what you'll do, you draw 3 cargo cards. You'll make a seamanship skill check, and you'll take the number of successes, and this will allow you to modify the cards that you've just drawn. So you can use one of the successes to draw an additional card. You can use a success to discard a card, or you can use a success to exchange a card. And what you'll be doing, you'll be looking at the number of escape icons, and if it's equal or more than your maneuverability, then the merchant escapes. And you also look at the number of hit icons, and you will deduct those hits from the location on your player board that the card says. And if your hull's destroyed, then your ship sinks and your captain dies, and you'll have to start all over again. But if the merchant didn't escape and you survived, then you'll be able to loot that merchant token. So you'll get the amount of gold, which is equal to the plunder value. We add up all the numbers on the bottom of the cards, and that's how much gold you get. You'll be able to keep any of the cargo cards, but you can't have any more than your cargo value. And if you plunder a merchant and you've got more than 12 gold, you'll get a glory points. That's super duper, innit? You know what I mean? After you raid a merchant or you do over the navy, then you'll get a bounty on your head, because people don't like scallywags, do they? Do you know what I mean? If you've done over, say, a Dutch Navy ship, you'll take a bounty token, you'll stick it on your board, and that means you cannot go into a Dutch port, and you're now classed as a filthy, stinking pirate. So the third action you can do is the port action, and this is a little bit drawn out. Well, it's a lot drawn out, actually. This consists of 7 different things you can do. You have to start with the sell goods action. So you're going to do that first, and then you can do every other action once per turn. You can't do the same action twice, right? So the sell goods action is quite simple. What you do, you select a certain amount of goods from your cargo cards, and you will sell them to the port in question, and you'll get 3 gold for each cargo, right? But if the cargo you want to sell is in demand, denoted by the in demand token, funny old thing, then you'll get 6 gold for that. And if you can flog 3 or more in demand goods, then you'll get a glory point, and you'll be able to draw a glory card. And glory cards give you sort of like a leg up. You can never have any more than a certain number of glory cards. So if you get more than 4 glory cards, you're going to have to get rid of some. Basically, you can play these at certain times of the game, and they do change the game up. So you might have the glory card that says fog. You can play this card when a battle's about to begin, and you may select any combat action the first round of combat. Long guns cannot be used against you, right? You might have the ship surgeon, which is a specialist, which is a bloke or a blokeette that you can hire, which says Sebastian Lecroc, an accomplished surgeon, is willing to join your crew. Play this card during a port action in Curacao. And it says here that succeed a leadership role or pay 2 gold that fails, then keep this card face up, and he gives you a nice little benefit, right? Or you might have the Sailor Master specialist, Francois de la Charette. An experienced Sailor Master is willing to join your crew. Play this card during a port action in Petit Gauve, or whatever it says. Succeed a leadership role or pay 2 gold that fails, and keep this card face up. And this bloke allows you to re-roll any number of your dice in a seamanship roll. So these are really tasty, powerful cards that will help you beat up other people. So the next thing you could do is you could buy goods, right? So you'll draw 6 cargo cards, and you'll be able to buy each piece of cargo for 3 gold, right? You can't buy an in-demand goods. If you draw any of them, you have to ditch them and redraw cards, right? And then you'll basically put them in your hold, right? So the next action you could do in the port is you can visit the shipyard. You can go there and you can buy and sell a ship. So you'll look at the price of the ship, and you'll pay the gold, and you'll swap out your ship, but you can flog your existing ship for basically peanuts at the end of the day. But for every ship modification you got, you're going to get a discount, right? So you can buy special weapons. You'll pay the money, you get yourself a special weapon. These are sort of like knuckle dusters for your ship if you want to give somebody else a good old slap, you know what I mean? So you can repair your ship, pay a bit of money, and you repair your ship. That's it. Or you could buy a ship modification. You pay money, and you'll take the ship modification token that is revealed when you enter a port, and you'll place it on your player board, and this will give you maybe like +1 crew, or give you a bonus to your maneuverability. No matter what it is, it's pretty tasty, and you really do need to sort of think about getting these pretty quick, you know what I mean? You could do the recruit action at port. You'll pay 2 gold, and you'll be able to fill up your crew to its initial value. You'll also be able to acquire a rumour. You'll be able to pay 2 gold, and you'll be able to pick up one of these rumour cards. And this is sort of like a sort of semi-mission in a sense, and you'll be required to do a certain skill check to see if the rumour is true, and if it turns out to be true, you'll get a specific benefit. So some of the rumour cards that are in the game go like this. You might get the White Lady rumour card, and it says, years ago, a magnificent frigate, the White Lady, disappeared. It's rumoured to be located on a reef near Bridgetown, right? So you go to Bridgetown, you'll do a scouting skill check, and if you're successful, then you find a frigate, and you'll be able to claim the frigate. You'll be able to get a frigate for free, which is bloody superb, isn't it? You know what I mean? Fantastic. It's just a ship floating in the water, and you can pick it up and take it home with you. Lovely. You might have the marriage rumour, and it says here, Abigail Rose Williams, daughter of the governor of Nassau, is getting married. You'll go to Nassau, you'll do a leadership action, you'll see if it's true prior to selling the goods in Nassau, and if successful this round, Nassau will pay you 2 extra gold for all your type of goods, except for wood, for some bizarre reason. Maybe Abigail Rose Williams is a bit of a wood phobe. So these rumours are sort of hit and miss. But if you pick up a decent rumour, then it's going to help you along your way in this game. So next thing, tell me if this is dragging on a little bit, because in the actual game. It's even worse than this, right? But the next thing that you can do is you can claim a mission. You'll go into a space where there's a mission card. You can attempt to claim a mission, do what it says on the card, and if you're successful, you'll take the mission. You can only ever have one mission, right? So if you pick up another one, you've got to dump one, and then this will give you something to do. So it might tell you to, say, go down to Havana and pick up some top good, take it over to St. John's, right? And if you complete the mission, you get a bonus, and then another mission will appear once somebody takes a mission, right? So it's very simple. It appears in lots of games, and you should know what it is. If you don't, you're thick as shit, right? So the final action that you could do in a port, aside from get a really bad headache, is you can stash gold. You can stash as much gold as you like in your little tiny treasure chest, the little cute treasure chest that this game gives you that always falls apart when you don't want it to. At the end of the game, for every 10 gold you've got in your treasure chest, you're going to get a glory point, and this is sort of a secret thing at the end of the game. It's sort of farmers in Carcassonne, right? At the end of the game, you're going to reveal all your gold, you're going to count up, and for every 10 gold you've got, you're going to get a glory point. So you have to be mindful about thinking about what other players have got in their treasure chest. So once everyone's taken all their actions, you'll go into the next round, you'll draw an event card, you do what it says. Some of the event cards go like this. You might have the event card that says war, and it says if there's no active war, you take a bounty token from each nation, randomly draw 2 and place them on the at war space. And this means France or like the Netherlands or England are at war together, and that means that if you are one of those nationalities, you can't go into the port of the opposing nationality, because obviously you're at loggerheads and you just want to kill each other. So one of the other things we've got to talk about is combat in this game. It's a bit of a protracted affair, so yeah, let's try and not wind ourselves up and headbutt the wall. Yeah. So what you do when you enter into combat, maybe you're on the same space as a pirate or part of the navy moves into your space, a naval battle will occur, and the first thing you're going to do is, well, in the first round you've got to choose the shoot declaration, right? But in subsequent rounds you can choose the board declaration, or you can choose the flee declaration, right? So what you do a seamanship check, and the player that wins the seamanship check with the most successes will get to enact their chosen declaration. So in the case of the shoot declaration, you'll be able to claim 1 hit per success that you did. If you choose the board action, naval combat will end, and then you'll move to the crew combat where it's a bit more hand to hand. And with the flee action, if your opponent made no successes, then you get to escape the battle and flee and basically run away from the battle with your tail between your legs, because you're a bit of a cowardly custard type person. Yeah. So for each hit, you'll roll a die, and then you'll look at the symbol that's on the die, and then you'll move the location on your ship down that number of hits. If your hull's destroyed, your ship sinks, and then you have to draw a new captain and start again. If it's your cargo, then obviously you can't carry as much stuff. If it's your mast, then your manoeuvrability is affected. If it's your cannons, you're not going to be able to do as many hits in subsequent rounds. And if it's your crew, then that's going to stuff you up for crew combat. So if you do a successful board action, you'll do crew combat. Each captain rolls a leadership check, and each success inflicts damage on the enemy's crew. If you lose all your crew, you lose your battle, your captain dies, and you're stuffed, right? You can also use special weapons in combat. You've got the grape shot, you've got the chain shot, and you've got the grappling hooks. And this is basically just a mechanism so that you can choose where your hits go instead of the person that's receiving the hits. So if you get destroyed, the game's not over, you can come back into the game, but basically you lose everything but your stashed gold. So my advice to you, as in life, is don't get killed. So basically I've had enough with the rules explanation. It's starting to do my head in. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to. But you're going to keep doing this. You're going to keep sailing along the 7 seas, pretending to be Johnny Depp by snorting as much cocaine as possible. And yeah, the person who gets to 10 glory points first will be the winner of Merchants and Marauders. So what do we like about Merchants and Marauders? So the first thing that we really like about Merchants and Marauders is obviously the theme, right? I mean, this comes across in spades, yeah. I mean, we haven't played every single pirate game, obviously. I mean, we've heard Too Many Bones. It's a pretty decent one, but as far as the games that we've played, the theme comes through the best. We do think that Jamaica is sort of rivals this for implementation of theme, but this one takes that feel of the golden age of piracy, and it comes through really, really well. You've got the characters of your captains, you've got the characters of your ships. They're sort of like secondary characters, aren't they? And you've got the different special abilities of each of the ports that is attached to a different nationality. So the fact that it sort of, I wouldn't say accurately mimics the scramble for resources in the Caribbean way back when, but the traditional sort of movie type representation of pirates comes through really well in this game. So the second thing that we really like about this game is that going to port, there's a massive amount of things you can do when you can go to port. It's basically a sort of a hub where you can do anything that you want. It's where you're going to get your ship upgrades. It's where you're going to be buying and selling goods. And the fact that there's 7 different options here, each with their own special ability that sort of adds to the lure of going to different ports. We really, really like that in this game. So the next thing that we really like about Merchants and Marauders is there's no real set path to victory. We've said this before and we're going to say it again, but we don't like the term sandbox game because obviously every single game has got its limitations based on the physical aspects of the game, right? This game is in the same sort of vein as Xayah Legends of the Drift system. You're just sort of plonked out into the middle of the sea or space with Xayah and you're just left to your own devices. The game presents you with all these different options that you can get at port or wherever you want to go with the missions, with the rumours. You're left to navigate your way through this sea of options. Did you see what I did there? So the final thing that we like about Merchants and Marauders is that the stash mechanism adds a little bit of mystery to the proceedings. You don't know, well maybe you do because maybe you've got your eye on what everyone's been doing, but you don't really know how much stuff your opponents have got stashed in their wonky little treasure chest. It might be the case that you think, well, I've won because I've got 40 gold, that's going to give me 4 glory points. When you reveal all your gold, it turns out that your mate has got 50 gold and he pips you to the post. So like we said in the rules overview, this reminds us a little bit of that farmer mechanism in Carcassonne where you're not quite sure as to whether you've done enough to win the game at the end, and that is absolutely fantastic. So what don't we like about Merchants and Marauders? So the first thing, and the elephant in the room with this one, is the amount of bloody downtime that this game forces you to experience. It's that bloody port action. I know we're hypocrites. We did say that we like the fact that the port action gives you this sort of wealth of opportunities and a wealth of possibilities, but the way that it's executed in this game is just mind-numbingly boring. I mean, in order to get to a port, you're going to have to move there, right? And that might be one of your actions. And then by the time your action comes around again, you've waited maybe 10 minutes, maybe everyone else that's playing it has done a port action, and you're just sitting there doing absolutely bugger all. I know I've heard people say other players can start their turn when you are doing your port action, but we tried that, and it turns out that whenever we tried that, everyone else is doing a bleeding port action. Do you know what I mean? It's like somebody lights a piece of touch paper and the game just goes up in smoke. So the next thing that we don't like about Merchants and Marauders is that the combat in this game is absolutely bloody brutal, right? Basically what it comes down to is whether or not your rolls are luckier than the next person. And if you're unlucky enough to get that success or get that skill check, then you're going to lose absolutely everything, and the player who done you over is going to nick all your stuff, and then they're going to be stronger for the next time, and you're going to come back into the game with just the captain and all the bare bones stuff with a crap ship, and they're going to be riding around on their white little unicorn with nuclear weapons, and you ain't going to be able to touch them. So that is a major problem, is that combat is so wildly unbalanced in this one. So the next thing that we don't like about Merchants and Marauders is it seems to us that being a pirate, it's just not worth the hassle. You're going to be more at risk of being attacked because you're going to get gold for doing over somebody with a bounty on their head. And the fact that you become more of a target for other players and also the Navy means that the risk of permadeath is all the more apparent. And that goes back to the previous point, is that if you do die in this game, you are done for. There's no way back. You can't win. So being a pirate is far too risky. And I just wouldn't recommend it. In some senses, I just don't see why it's in there. And for a game that is meant to be about the golden age of piracy, subconsciously tries to move you away from being a pirate. What's the point of being a pirate game? So the final thing, and I promise you this is the final thing that we don't like about Merchants and Marauders, is that thing that happens in this game that can destroy the whole thing. And this is something that we call port hopping. It's the fact that you got 3 actions, right? And you can use those 3 actions to move from port to port. So you can move out of the port, you can move to the next space, and you can move into the port. And if you're in a port, You can't get attacked. There's nothing that anyone can do. You can just spend the whole game going from port to port to port if you want, and you ain't going to get touched by the pirates. If you're a pirate, you ain't going to get touched by the Navy. And also, if you're a pirate, you ain't going to get touched by the other players. So you're just going to be going to a port, picking up goods, hopping over to the next port, selling the goods. And if the in-demand tokens are in your favour, you're going to get so much money, so much glory, and you're never going to see an ounce of combat. And that's good if you know that combat is risky, right? And I know that combat's risky, but port hopping is essentially boring. And it's just basically renders the game down to the lowest common denominator, which is basically just to pick up and deliver a fare. So to summarise, is Merchants and Marauders still worth your time and bother 10 years after it was first released in 2010? So we're going to say maybe not. In fact, I can't answer that question. It all depends on what you expect from this sort of Ameritrash type of game. It's a highly thematic adventure on the high seas that suffers from an insane amount of imbalance, too much downtime, and it's far too random for our liking. It's too long a game to have all these different problems rise to the surface. But if you can dedicate a rainy afternoon and not really care too much about what happens, just put your boat out in the water, sail around a bit, see what happens, take a few risks, don't worry if you get mullered a few times, then this game can be quite an enjoyable affair. And one side of my brain is telling me that I want to play this again and again and again, but the other side of my brain is telling me that this is a slog, it's unfair, and it's just a pain in the arse to play. So I don't know which side of my brain is going to win this battle, but we're going to give Merchants and Marauders 3 out of 5. It's going to stay in our collection because it is quite unique. There's not really anything like it with this type of theme. So there you go. That's Merchants and Marauders. Remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. And we'll see you next Tuesday.